I'll be the moderator for this next session. I'm really looking forward to introducing now Steve Swatton. He's the CEO of CopperCorp. And interestingly enough, the name suggests CopperCorp, but they just confirmed a high-grade rare earth discovery. So it fits really well following this critical minerals panel. And Steve, please go ahead. Here's your pointer thingy. And
my pointer thingy. Is my microphone on? Yeah. Okay. Well, actually,
the swan next, if you want.
Okay. The speakers have just set me up for a real win-win here. Not only have we got copper, we got rare earths, and we're in Australia. So I think that's 3 points in our favor. But it's an interesting situation that I'm still not started here. It's an interesting situation that the guys were talking about. Do you know where the second largest copper gold resource in the world is? It's in Philippines. Philippines has been a dredge nation for the longest time, and all of a sudden we have 7 people reviewing this project. And it's not because it's any better. It's just that everywhere else around the world has got worse, and it's becoming a more interesting place. But enough about that. Let's talk about the copper rare earths in Tasmania. So the usual disclaimer statement. What I'm going to talk about today is it's a relatively new discovery that's been made. It's new in that we've reanalyzed a bunch of the information that was available to us from a drilling program in 2018. But we've got 2 major belts within northwest Tasmania. Now, Tasmania, they were talking about the length of time it gets to permitting in various other jurisdictions, and I'm very well aware of what it takes in the States. In fact, I worked in California, which I don't think you can get any worse than California. We just got our drill permit to drill on the Skyline project in 2 months from initiation. So we're going to be probably starting drilling towards the end of the next month, in all likelihood. And we're a company that have $4 million in cash. We don't really in a situation where we're requiring money, but we're in this awful conundrum with a junior mining company of what to do with your money, to continue drilling and then you put out a nice release and it gives a liquidity sell situation, or you're going to go and drill the bejesus out of it, hoping you're going to get something significant that will actually move the market. But just to relay anybody's fears about Tasmania as a jurisdiction, the areas in red there are defined prospect areas. So you can actually mine in these areas. They're not going to change the regulations. It's not going to become a national park. And all of our projects are in that northwest area. We have 1,800 square kilometers, which is the size of a small country in Europe here. It's massive. It's 2% of the island of Tasmania. So we're taking a 2-pronged approach with our exploration for going forward for the next year or so. We're going to be looking at what I'm going to be calling the Razorback project, and we've got a small resource that we're trying to define further resources on the Alpine project. And it's pretty exciting because the Razorback prospect, based on what the gentleman earlier were talking about and also the current market, is something that's going to excite the market. And the Alpine prospect, which is an IOCG deep high-grade copper situation, is something that look, I come from a big company background, BHP, Rio Tinto. I know that those guys like large belts in safe jurisdictions, and that's what we have in Tasmania, and that's part of the reason why I got involved. Here's a Google Earth map, photograph, I should say, of the area that the Razorback in particular. So we got 2 focus. This is the first one. The Mount Lyell mine, even in today, it's been mined for over 100 years. It's now on care and maintenance, coming back into production with another 25 years of mine life. 3 million tons of contained copper and 3 million ounces of gold. That's significant even by today's standards. I mean, Rio Tinto, BHP, they would look at anything over 1 million tons, and here they got 3. Now, we have the adjacent property, but also when we actually applied for this property, which was 2 years ago, and we just got it granted through a bidding process, we knew there was rare earths, but rare earths weren't really that topical as they are now. So the second project that I'm going to talk about, so this is just the intro that I'm doing now, is the resource that we have on a different type of iron oxide copper gold project. And at the moment, we're looking at probably just about 500,000 tons. but we're looking to develop it, and that project is going to be probably joint ventured, or we're going to look for a joint venture partner with one of the major companies. So anyway, I'm just going through the introduction. I'll get into the nuts and bolts of it. An overall corporate summary, we have our market cap is about 6 million, so we're way down, but we have 4.5 million in cash. It's kind of ridiculous, I know. We're in this awful situation where that 4.5 million looks like 50 million right now, and everybody's pretty envious of us. So I've been on the road for 3 weeks talking to major companies about possibly a joint venture on that larger project, but what are we going to do with this other one? But you can see, this is just a snapshot of some of the people that we're dealing with that's in the company here. Craig Roberts, John Robbins, and Doug Cohen, maybe 3 people that you know. John Robbins, particularly with Discovery Group. And I'll get straight into the West Tasmania, why we're up there. So we've got 1,800 square kilometers. We have 20 odd prospects that we're looking at. But in this general area, there's actually 4, or if you count it, the 5th one would be Avebury, operating mines within 30 kilometers of both of the projects that we have. It's a mining camp, it's a mining district, and it's somewhere that actually contributes significantly to the GDP of Tasmania, and therefore I don't think anything is going to be changed on that circles within the government. The Skyline project, which the Razorback project, which is our main one, is that on the south. That whole area there is the Skyline project, and it's the southernmost area that you can see with Darwin, Hythe and Dukes are the ones that I'm going to concentrate on now going forward. So this Darwin area to the south there has been drilled. It was drilled in 2018 by a company called Corona Resources. They failed to renew their licenses. I think they ran short of cash, and it went to public auction. This area, as you can see from some of these grades, are not insignificant from the drilling, 30 meters at 2.3% total rare earths. And also, the interesting thing about this is the vicinity to a Mount Lyell copper mine. The northern end of it is actually quite a high-grade copper zone. So not only have we got high-grade copper, we got towards the south. And if you imagine a cross-section of an IOCG, the rare earths are towards the bottom, and the epithermal gold would be obviously towards the top. And if the whole thing is kind of laying on its side here, so the epithermal end of it would be where Mount Lyell is. And it's interesting, it's 181 square kilometers of quite fertile rocks that we've begun our exploration program. This is what the rocks look like. And I don't think I've seen a higher rare earth content. We were just doing some, if you like, justification mapping in the field, and this is not an unusual number for the surface rocks. Now, what it's going to translate into, we don't really know, but at this stage it's very encouraging. And that area that we're looking at is the southern, so just to recap, is the southern area there, Darwin. And this diagram is quite interesting, is that on the left-hand side is a magnetic image, and the right-hand side it's a thorium image. And most of the work has been done at that southern area. And the area within the blue ellipsoid there has never been looked at before. And so this is about another 2 kilometers by 1 kilometer of similar type of rock. The area has got great exposure. We have no problems getting around, and you can actually drive right into it. This is an area that has fairly reasonable infrastructure, and you can drill year-round. There are no First Nation issues. The government's supportive, and it's 100% renewable energy in this state. So just to recap with the cross-section there, 30 meters at 2.0. So what we're thinking of doing is we're thinking of drilling underneath this area to see how deep this mineralized body goes, but we can also go forward into that 2 kilometer zone that I mentioned to you and find probably more of the information. The nice thing about even this Darwin zone, South Darwin zone, not only does it have the copper, it has high-grade, the rare earths, it also has high-grade copper too. And when we looked into the rare earths, they're the better ones, those 7 that are on there. We have high values of the ones that the world seems to need. Now, look, I'll be the first to admit that this foray into rare earth metals is another language altogether. and whether it will actually become anything. But at the moment, it's certainly garnering a lot of attention. And in Australia, I'm not quite sure if you're aware, actually building a refinery on the west coast, and with the Luca mines, it's going to be over $1 billion to actually counteract the predominance of the Chinese in their production, which is 90% of rare earths are actually processed in China. And I think the Five Eyes have decided that they really want to get in on the action. So there's a lot of money being spent, and quite a lot of that is US money as well. AMC project, which is the other one I talked about, which has now become our secondary project. We got 20 odd targets over a strike length of 100 kilometers. We've just started drilling. Unfortunately for us, one deep drill hole into it is probably north of $250,000 per drill hole. So with this type of, you can see this is nice high-grade copper that we have there. We're looking for the joint ventures, and I was in Brisbane 2 weeks ago talking with Rio Tinto, and look, I used to, one of my last jobs was within BHP, so we're talking to the right people, but like everything that's large, government, whatever, they move slowly, but I know this is a project that would be of interest to them. This is when we've modeled it out. We've got pretty good modeling, but we just don't have it close enough at this stage to be able to put defined resources. These are our own internal resources. They're not to be used in any sort of, assessment that it's 43-101 standard, but we're going in the right direction. It's just unfortunate that the high-grade copper is so deep. One last project that I want to leave you with is, this is one we worked on last year, and it's just off it's called the Jasper Hills. If you look on the right-hand side, that's the project. It's off the main trend, and in this area, it's just it's a box of surprises in this Western Tasmania. You've got everything. You've got tin mines, nickel mines, you've got copper mines, and some high-grade gold mines, all within 30, 40 kilometers of each other. This one that we've come across was mined in the 1930s, and we went back into it. And it's really significant, and these are the grades of copper that we have in it, and these are the base metals. Now, these are totally, I'm a geologist, but these are totally different types of provenance, and it's indicating to me that there's been a later event which has elevated the mineral content. And what you're seeing here is a copper-rich area and a base metals-rich. And we've only just started our exploration, but with grades like this, obviously, we're going to be doing quite a bit of work this year to define how large a zone it is. So with that, I mean, we're going to continue. We've got our various programs going forward, and we have plenty of money in order to do what we need to do. We have a bunch of analogous companies doing the same as us, with the fourth one in there. We've lost our share price, as much as everyone else. I mean, there's only two in this whole, this was who we were basing ourselves against. There's only two that have actually been elevated. All the rest are way down. In summary, $4.5 million of cash. Tasmania's safe, friendly, experienced workforce, rare earths and copper established mining camp. 2 very large regional belts. Literally, it's larger than Liechtenstein. 100% renewable energy, and we could be drilling just later this year. So with that, I think I'm just about right on time there.
You are.
Right.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
I think we have 1 minute for questions as well for Steve. Do we have a question about rare earths, copper, the projects, Tasmania? Fantastic.
That's great.
Good. You answered them. It was like a really well-structured presentation.
I'm in the booth right behind here. Be more than happy to chat to you, or if you want to talk about Philippines, I'm more than happy to talk about that too. Yeah, sorry, you do have one question.
What's the ultimate plan? Are you going to sell off, or are you...
Look, as a junior company, most of the time that is always the plan. I mean, you have the expertise to find stuff, but not to dig it up. No, I'll be just honest with you, That's the way it is.
There's no mining expertise.
No, but we do have a mining engineer. We have mining engineers within, but it's unlikely a business model for an exploration company.
Sure.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Very well presented. Thank you so much, Steve.
Thank you.